Hello everyone, welcome to another walkthrough video. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through problems in homework 4, right? So homework 4, the intention is for you to do some exercise related to matrices and matrix operations. Matrix operations including matrix addition, scalar multiplications, and matrix multiplications. So let's get started here. So in homework 4, we have about more than 25 questions, right? So 26 questions. So let's start at problem 1. So given two matrices, matrix A and matrix B, so this matrix is a 2 by 3 matrix and B is also a 2 by 3 matrix. And so the question is that if possible, compute the following, right? So they want to do the A computation, A plus B, and the second computation, B plus A. So let's see what happened, right? So, right here, right down here, problem 1. So A plus B is going to be -4, 5, -2, -5, 5, 2, plus matrix B to be 4, -1, -3, -2, -1, -1. So to find the sum, we just add the corresponding entries together. So that is -4 plus 4 becomes 0. 5 plus -1 is 4. -2 add with -3 give you -5. Right. Then in the second row, you have -5 plus -2 is going to be -7. Then 5 plus -1 is to be +4. And for the last entry, you get 2 added with -1 to get +1. Right. Now, if you do the calculations for B plus A, you should have the same answer. That is the 2 by 3 matrix of the form 0, 4, -5, -7, 4, and 1, because the properties of a matrix addition is commutative, right? So therefore, A plus B should be equal to B plus A, and therefore this should be a true statement. Okay. Now to input your answer, if you click on the help matrices button right here, they will give you some idea how to enter the answer into WebWork for this particular problem, right? Because for our problem, the result is you have 2 rows and 3 columns. So we're going to use this particular choice right here. So let me enter the answer here. Right, so between 2 brackets, this is for the first row. So you get 0, 4, -5. And the second row is consists of the entry of -7, 4, and 1. Right, so it's going to be the same thing for B plus A. Now let's submit the answer and see what happened. Right, so this is all correct. All right, so that's problem 1. Let's move on to problem 2. So problem 2 is with matrix multiplications. Right, so for matrix multiplication, you have to be careful with the sign of the matrices given to you, right? To do the calculation, let's say A times B, then it's possible to do the calculation if the number of columns of A match with the number of rows of B, right? So in this case, both matrices are 2 by 2 matrices. So therefore, you can do the calculations for A times B and then B times A. So let's go through that together here. So problem 2, we're going to do the product A times B, given the matrix A is -2, -2, -4, -2. And then matrix B is 5, 5, -3, +3. All right. So this is 2 by 2 matrix multiplied with another 2 by 2 matrix. The resulting matrix should be a 2 by 2 matrix as well. So, all right, so the first entry should be, right, to take the first row of A combined with the first column of B. This should give you if you do the calculations correctly, when you combine the first row of A with the first column of B, you should get -4. Now for the second entry in the first row, what you do is you take the first row of A combined with the second column of B, you should get -16, right? And then you're done with the first row, you move on to the second row. So what you do is that you're going to take the second row of A combined with the first column of B. You should get -14 as the answer. And for the last entry, it should be -26. Okay. Now that is for A times B. We're gonna do B times A. So for B times A, you get 5, 5, -3, +3. Multiply with -2, -2, -4, -2. And again, if you do the calculations correctly, the answer should be -30, -20, -6, 0. All right. So now I'm going to enter this result into WebWork. And we're gonna use the notation we just learned from problem 1. So now the entry should be -4, -16. Then move on to the second row. That is -14, -26. For B times A, I get the first row to be -30, -20. And then the second row should be -6 and 0. And from this calculation, you can see that A times B is different from B times A, right? So this should be a false statement. Let's submit the answer, see what happened. Okay, so we get that. Now let's move on to problem 3. So problem 3, you have 3 matrices, right? The sign of the matrix is very important because, again, to do the matrix multiplications, what you need is that the matrix on the left, right, need to have the number of columns match with the number of rows of the matrix on the right. So in this case, let's say you have A times C times B. Okay, so again, let me move on to problem 3. Here, you have 3 matrices. So A is a 2 by 2 matrix. B is a 3 by 2 matrix. Do this, so 3 by 2 matrix. And C should be a 2 by 3 matrix. All right. So can we do A times C times B? Now let's check the sign of the matrices and see what happened. So for A is the 2 by 2 matrix, C is a 2 by 3 matrix, and B is a 3 by 2 matrix. So therefore, we can actually perform this calculations, this multiplication for A times C and times B, right? Because to do A times C, you get that the number of columns of A match with the number of rows of C. And to do the calculation for C and B, then, so when we do A times C, you're going to obtain a matrix of the form 2 times 3. Okay. And then you take the resulting matrix and combine that with the matrix B, 3 times 2. You should now get a 2 by 2 matrix at the end. Now let's say if we can do A times B times C on that, right? So for A, B, C, the size should be 2 by 2, and then B is 3 by 2, and C is 2 by 3. Right, we cannot actually perform this calculation for A times B times C because, as you can see, the number of column of A does not match with the number of rows of B. So therefore, I can say that this is the NE for the case of A times B times C. And we can calculate the matrix, the product of A times C times B, right? So A times C times B, so A is equal to -1, -1, 5, 5 times C. C is equal to -3, -4, -4, -2, -5, 4. And then matrix B is equal to -1, 3, -1, 1, -3, -4. All right. So let's see if you can do these calculations. Right. So again, to do the calculation, what you do is you first do matrix multiplication for these two matrices. And then you're going to obtain a new matrix, right? And then use that new matrix to multiply with the remaining matrix right here. All right, so I'm going to leave this as an exercise for you. But of course, let me know if you have any questions. But let's say you submit this one, see what happened. So it's give me a wrong answer because I didn't enter the value for A times C times B, but the procedure I just show you and A times B times C, the answer should be do not exist because of the analysis that we have done over here. All right, so that's problem 3. Now let's move on to problem 4. All right, so the same idea here. This is matrix multiplications. So you get A times B, and then later you do B times A. These two matrices are the 3 by 3 matrices. So the resulting matrix or the product should be a 3 by 3 matrix as well. All right, I'm going to leave that for you to do as well because we already did the calculation in problem 1 and problem 2. Right? This calculation should be very similar. Now let's move on to problem 5. Same idea here. So to do the matrix product, what you do, or matrix multiplications, take the row, the first row combined with the column, and then the second row combined with the column, and you should get a column matrix here. All right, so that's problem 5. Problem 6 is, this is matrix subtractions. What you do is you do the subtraction for the corresponding entry. So here's what you do. So you do 9 minus -3, then you do -3 minus 9. All right, so let me quickly do that. This should be simple enough, right? So 9 minus -3. Right, that's the first entry. The second entry is -3 minus 9. The first entry in the second row is 2 minus 4, and the last entry is 5 minus 5, right? Let's see if you take these calculations in or not. All right, so that's fine. If you want, you can do the calculation explicitly. So 5 minus 5 is 0. 2 minus 4 is -2. -3 minus 9 is -12. And 9 minus -3 is +12. Right? So it should be the same answer. Now for number 7, right? So number 7, you have the first calculation is called scalar multiplications. So for each entry in matrix A, what you do is you multiply with -10, you get the answer. Now for A minus 3B, what you do is that you perform the scalar multiplication on B first, and then you do A minus that scalar multiplication. Similarly on for the last case, so let me do the last case, problem 7. Right, you do -5A minus 3B. So -5 times matrix A to be -3, 9. So -3, 9, 2, -8, -9, -5, 5, -1, +6, -3 times -7, -6, -1, -1, -3, 4, -4, -9, and +3. Okay, so you do the scalar multiplication that is for each entry in this matrix, you multiply with -5. So yeah, this is +15, -45, -10. There, so 40, and then 45. This is +25. This is -25, +5, and -30. Then -3 times the matrix. So this should give you -21, -18, -3, -3, -9, +12, then -12. This one should be -27, and this is +9. And then you do matrix subtractions, right, by subtract the corresponding entry together. Okay, so that is problem 7. Let's move on to problem 8. Right. So in this problem, we want to know the dimensions on the side of the matrix that you're dealing with, and the dimension of the product. Right. So for B times A, so B is a 7/2 matrix, and A is a 2/8 matrix. Therefore, the resulting matrix or the product has the dimensions of 7/8. So let's say, so this is 7, this is 8. Let's submit and see what happened here. So that's correct, right? It's to give me incorrect answer here because we didn't input the value yet. Right, with the same analysis, let's do C times P, see what happened. So C is the 8/7 matrix, and B is a 7/2 matrix. Therefore, the resulting matrix should be A/2. And I'm going to leave the last question for you to do as an exercise. So this is A/2, and it should be correct. Okay, so that's problem 8. Now move on to problem 9. So problem 9 is matrix multiplications, right? So A times B, and then you do B times A. Now the last problem is you have A transpose times B transpose, right? So problem 9. All right, so how would you do this, right? So for A transpose, that means when you have a transpose of a matrix, you turn or you interchange all the rows into columns and all the columns into rows. And then later you perform the calculations on the product A transpose times B transpose. All right, so given A is equal to 6, 4, -4, 6. And then therefore A transpose is equal to 6, -4, and then 4, +6, right? So all the rows become columns, right? Become columns, right? So 6, 4 become column 6, 4. The row -4, +6 becomes column -4, +6. And for matrix B is of the form 7, -2, +9, +2. B transpose is going to be 7, -2, 9, +2. And then you perform the calculations on A transpose times B transpose. That is 6, -4, 4, 6 times B transpose, which is 7, 9, -2, +2. And then this is just the matrix multiplication. The answer should be a 2 by 2 matrix. And I'm going to leave you to do this problem yourself. Now for problem 10, right? So again, here you have a transpose problem. So problem 10, given the matrix A of the form, so this is the 3 by 3 matrix. You have 4, -2, 1, 0, -1, -4, 1, -2, +3. And you turn this into a transpose, right? You take a transpose of the matrix. This give you, right? Again, transpose mean that you interchange the rows in columns, right? So all the rows in A becomes columns in A transpose, right? So that is, so instead of 4, -2, 1 in the row, you have 4, -2, 1 in column. Now for the next row, 0, -1, -4, it becomes 0, -1, -4 in column. And the last row becomes the last column in A transpose. That is 1, -2, +3. And then you perform the scalar multiplications on the transpose. So 3 times A transpose. And then you just do 3 times the matrix 4, 0, 1, -2, -1, -2, 1, -4, +3. You should get 12, 0, 3, -6, -3, -6, 3, -12, 9. All right, so let's see if we can get the answer here. So 12, 0, 3, -6, -3, -6, 3, -12, and +9. So let's check the answer. Right, so that's how you do it. Now move on to problem 11. Right, so we have done similar problem in problem 8. Right, so you have all possibility or all possible matrix products, right? A times B times C, A times C times B, so on and so forth. And they want to know which product should be possible or which makes sense, right? So they have 5 different options here, and you will need to analyze the products here to get the answer. Okay. So let me walk you through that. So problem 11. Right, so for A, matrix A is a 2 by 2 matrix. Matrix B is a 3 by 4 matrix. And matrix C is a, let me do this. So C is a 4 by 2 matrix. All right, so is ABC possible? Right, so A, B, C, so A times B times C. So the dimension is 2 by 3 for A, 3 by 4 for B, and 4 by 2 for C. So this calculation is possible. Okay. Because again, the number of columns of A match with the number of rows of B, and the number of column of B match with the number of rows of C. Now for ACB, so A is 2 by 3, C is 4 by 2, and B is 3 by 4. So this is not possible at all. Next, we do BAC. So B is a 3 by 4 matrix, A is a 2 by 3 matrix, and C is a 4 by 2 matrix. So this one's not going to work either. Right? So BAC is not going to work. Now for BCA, what's going to happen? So B is a 3 by 4 matrix, C is a 4 by 2 matrix, and A is a 2 by 3 matrix. So this calculation should work, right? Because the number of columns of B match with the number of rows of C, and the number of column of C match with the number of rows of A, right? So you keep doing this for the last two matrices that you see here. So I'm going to leave this to you to analyze the dimension of C times A times B and C times B times A. All right, so that's problem 11. Now move on to problem 12. Right, so this is matrix additions. It should be, hopefully should be easy enough for you to do. So number 13. So number 13, this is a matrix product as well, matrix multiplication. So I'm going to leave it to you. But try to analyze the dimensions here. So you have one row and 4 columns. Here you have 4 rows and 1 column. Right. So if you do B times A, you're going to have 4 by 4 matrix as a result. And that means you need to do 16 calculations. All right, so let me move on to number 14. So number 14, again, this is matrix multiplications. So A times B, right? So 1 by 4 combined with 4 by 1. So you should have just one entry at the end for A times B. But for B times A, it should be a 4 by 4 matrix as well. So number 15, again, this is matrix multiplications. I'm going to leave it to you to do the calculations. Number 15, right, same here. Number 16, so same here. So it's a little bit weird here because you have value of A. So let's do that together. So number 16, so problem 16. Now you have A, 1 minus A, 1 plus A. Then this is negative A, multiply with 0, 5, negative 2, then negative 2, negative 1, positive 1. All right. So this is a 2 by 2 matrix. This is a 2 by 3 matrix. So the resulting matrix should be a 2 by 3 matrix. Right. So we need 6 calculations here. Now for the first entry, you take the first row of A combined with the first column of B. So you have A times 0, right? So A times 0 plus 1 minus A times negative 2. Right. The second entry should be take the first row of A combined with the second column of B. You get 5A minus let me be careful here. So 1 plus 1 minus A times negative 1. And for the last entry, you get negative 2A plus 1 minus A. Now we're done with the first row. You move on to the second row. Then you get 1 plus A times 0. So 1 plus A times 0 plus negative A times negative 2. The next entry is that of the second row of A combined with the second column of B. You get 5 times 1 plus A plus negative A times negative 1. And then the last entry is negative 2. Let me be careful here. So 1 plus A times negative 2 plus negative A times 1. Right. So the answer should be, so this entry is negative 2 times 1 minus A. This entry should be 5a minus 1 minus a. This calculations give me negative 2a plus 1 minus a. And then this entry should give me positive 2a. This is, I'm going to distribute 5 into the parentheses. So 5 plus 5a plus a. And here again, I do distributions as well. Get negative 2 minus 2a minus a. And the final answer should be negative 2 times 1 minus a. 5a minus 1 plus a. This is negative 3a plus 1. This is 2a. This is 5 plus 6a. And this is negative 3a minus 2. So for this entry, if you combine 5a with a, you should have 6a minus 1. So let me enter this into my answer. So negative 2 times 1 minus a. The second entry is 6a minus 1. The third entry is negative 3a plus 1. Next entry is 2a, then 5 plus 6a, and then negative 3a minus 2. See what happened here. All right, so everything is correct. So again, this is still matrix multiplication. In this case, a little bit weird because we have some variable a in the calculation. All right, so problem 16 is done. Let's move on to problem 17. Again, matrix multiplications, but before doing matrix multiplication, you need to do scalar multiplication on B, right? So you have to do 2B first, and then you have a matrix. Use that resulting matrix to combine with the matrix A. Number 18. Now they want to know the dimensions of the calculation, if possible for the calculations to happen, right? So be careful with the dimensions for A, B, and C. Right. I'm going to leave this to you. We have done a few similar problems to this already. So that's number 18. Let's move on to number 19. Okay, so similar to 18, they want to know if this calculation is possible. What you need to do is you need to look at the dimensions of the matrices, right? So in this case, you have, so for problem 19, so in this case, you have a square, right? So a square means that you do a times a, right? So that's the product, right? So a is a 3 by 3 matrix. So therefore, a square should be a 3 by 3 matrix. So it's possible. Okay. Right. So let's enter the result here. So for those defined, enter the sign of the resulting matrix. A 3 by 4 with spaces between numbers and the x. So 3 space out x 3. So let's say it's working on that. Okay, so that's work. That's the notation that they asked us to do. Now for C times B, so let's analyze this. So C times B, so C is a 4 by 8 matrix. And B is a 3 by 4 matrix. So it's not going to work. So we type undefined. Let's see what happens. So that is undefined. B times C and A times B. I'm going to leave that to you for to work out the details. All right. So that's problem 19. Problem 20. So this is matrix addition. Should be easy enough for you. Problem 21. What is the sign of the matrix here? So the sign is you count how many rows you have and how many columns, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 rows and 2 columns. So 5 by 2. See if this work. So let's see. So for this problem, a few seconds earlier, I actually used this notation instead. So there is some spacing between the numbers and the x, just like we did in problem 19. But in this problem, we cannot do that. So I know it's a little bit frustrated with web work because they have a different style of entering the answer. So for this particular problem, what they do is that they have no spacing between the number and the x value. Right? So 5 by 2 matrix. And when you submit the answer, that should be the answer. All right, so be careful when you enter the answer. Now for problem 22, is it possible to do the calculation? Again, they look at they want you to analyze the dimensions of B, of C, and of the product B times C to see if we can actually perform the matrix multiplications here. All right, so I'm going to leave that to you. Number 23. So similar here, if you have 3 matrices, then decide if each of the following operation is defined. If yes, you say yes. If no, you just type no. Right. So A plus B is a no. B plus A plus C is also a no. B plus C is a no. That's right. So let's see. Right, so we have to enter all of the values for it to work. So this is a, but that's the idea, right? So I'm going to leave this to you as well. We move on to problem 24. Okay, so in this problem, they also ask you to calculate the psi of AB and the psi of BA, right? So analyze the psi of A, analyze the psi of B, and then see if you get on the dimensions of A times B and the dimensions of B times A. If so, if either of the product is undefined, type undefined for your answer. Okay. So let's do problem 25. So here's again, let's see if you can perform the calculations. If the answer is yes, then you calculate the product B times F. Okay. So it should be very simple for you at this point. And the last problem, problem 26. So again, it's just matrix multiplications. So that's it for me for a walkthrough for homework 4. Please let me know if you have any questions.